In 2004, Zack Snyder's Dawn of the Dead redefined zombie horror. But the chaos wasn't just on screen. A nurse accidentally stitched a prosthetic to an actor's real arm. James Gunn received death threats for writing it. George Romero hated the running zombies. The zombie baby scene needed executive approval. And the bloated woman zombie wasn't actually a woman. Today, we're exposing 20 disturbing, bizarre, and shocking facts about this horror remake that you definitely didn't know. Fact 1. Ving Rhames' real arm was stitched with a prosthetic. For the scene where Anna stitches Kenneth's arm, director Zack Snyder hired an actual nurse to perform the close-up stitching. However, she misunderstood the director's instructions to go deeper with the needle. The nurse accidentally punctured Ving Rhames' real skin and literally stitched the prosthetic wound to his actual arm. Rhames, being the professional he is, didn't say anything until after the scene wrapped. When Snyder saw the blood, he thought it was just an impressive practical effect. Only after filming did Rhames reveal that the blood was real and the nurse had sewn rubber to his flesh. Talk about commitment to authenticity, though this one was entirely unintentional and quite painful.
Norma! Norma! What happened?
Fact 2. Ving Rhames tracked down the producers himself to get the role. When Ving Rhames heard that a Dawn of the Dead remake was in production, he didn't wait for his agent to call. He actively tracked down the producers himself because he desperately wanted to be part of the film. Rhames was sold on several factors: the diversity of the cast, Zack Snyder's visual storytelling ability, and the quality of the script. But he also joked about another reason for his enthusiasm. In this version, the black guy actually lives. This was a deliberate subversion of horror movie tropes where black characters typically die first, and Rhames appreciated that his character Kenneth would survive until the very end of the theatrical cut. Fact 3. The zombie baby scene required studio executive approval. The infamous zombie baby scene, one of the most disturbing moments in the entire film, was entirely screenwriter James Gunn's idea. Zack Snyder has stated he gives Gunn full credit for it and absolutely loved the concept. However, the scene was so disturbing that it required studio executive approval before it could be included. The baby was created using a combination of animatronics and CGI effects, and executives were concerned about the graphic nature of showing a reanimated infant. The scene made it into the final cut, becoming one of the film's most controversial and talked about moments. Interestingly, Snyder loved the concept so much that he reused the zombie baby idea years later in his 2021 Netflix film, Army of the Dead. Fact 4. James Gunn received handwritten death threats for writing the remake. When it was announced that James Gunn would write the remake, he faced severe internet backlash and actually received handwritten death threats. At the time, Gunn was primarily known for writing the 2002 live-action Scooby-Doo movie starring Freddie Prinze Jr. and Matthew Lillard. Die-hard fans of George Romero's original were horrified that someone they considered a children's movie writer would be touching their beloved horror property. To many angry fans, he was just the Scooby-Doo guy, and they couldn't imagine he was qualified to write a serious zombie horror film. The negativity only subsided after influential film critic Harry Knowles read Gunn's script, gave it a positive review on Ain't It Cool News, and helped eliminate doubts about Gunn's abilities. Fact 5. The mall was demolished weeks after filming wrapped. The Thornhill Square shopping center in Toronto, which served as the Crossroads Mall in the film, was already scheduled for demolition when production found it. The mall measured approximately 45,000 square feet, and the production crew completely renovated it over an 8-week period. They added 14 functional stores, an expensive water feature near the entrance, parking structures, and warehouse areas. Most stores were given fake names because only 2 major retail brands, Roots and Panasonic, agreed to appear in the film. Starbucks and numerous other corporations refused to let their names be used, not wanting to be associated with the film's violent content. Shortly after filming wrapped in 2003, the mall was partially demolished to make way for office complexes. Fans can no longer visit this iconic filming location. Now it exists only on film. Fact 6. Real amputees were cast as limbless zombies. Rather than relying on green screens or CGI trickery, Zack Snyder cast actual amputees to play zombies with missing limbs. The two most notable examples are the jogger zombie, who is missing an arm, and the legless zombie in the parking garage. This casting choice was made to achieve maximum realism and authenticity in the zombie effects. Snyder wanted the practical horror to feel genuine, and using real people rather than digital effects added a visceral quality to these disturbing images. This approach echoed George Romero's original Dawn of the Dead from 1978, which also featured an actual amputee as one of the first zombies seen in that film. Fact 7. The elevator scene's best line was improvised with no music playing. One of the film's most memorable comedic moments was completely improvised. When CJ and the group are escaping in the elevator, Michael Kelly ad-libbed the line, "I like this song." The funny part? There was actually no music playing during filming. The elevator scene was shot in complete silence. It wasn't until post-production that the filmmakers added the song All Out of Love by Air Supply, making CJ's comment perfectly ironic and hilarious. This improvised moment became one of the film's best-loved comedic beats, perfectly timed to give audiences a brief moment of levity amid the horror. Fact 8. Snyder filmed in chronological order due to his inexperience. Dawn of the Dead was Zack Snyder's feature film directorial debut, and his inexperience showed in his production approach. Snyder chose to film the movie in chronological order, not for artistic reasons, but because he didn't yet have the experience to shoot scenes out of order sequence and maintain continuity effectively. Most experienced directors shoot films non-chronologically for budget and scheduling efficiency, but Snyder stuck to the story's timeline to keep track of everything. The first half was shot almost entirely in order, while the final boat and island sequences were filmed much later at Universal Studios Hollywood after preview audiences objected to the original abrupt ending. Fact 9. Over 300 zombies were in full makeup simultaneously. On some shooting days, there would be over 300 extras in full zombie makeup simultaneously. The makeup application was conducted through what was called a round-the-clock mill effect that involved a dedicated makeup room, a tent, and a trailer. These stations were populated by dozens of makeup artists who would spend anywhere from 1 to 4 hours designing and creating each individual zombie. The sheer logistics of coordinating this many prosthetics, fake blood, and decay effects was staggering. Makeup designer David Leroy Anderson and his team, including his wife Heather Langenkamp, researched crime scene photographs and forensic textbooks to create zombies based on absolute reality. The color schemes were real, the decomposition looked authentic, and everything was grounded in how actual human decay appears. Fact 10. The bloated woman zombie was actually a man. The massive bloated woman zombie who charges at Anna in one of the film's most grotesque moments wasn't played by a woman at all. It was actually played by stuntman Hermes Blarison, who wore extensive prosthetics to create the disturbing, swollen appearance. Blarison was also the stuntman and body double for Chris Farley in Tommy Boy from 1995. The costume and makeup required to transform him into the bloated zombie took hours to apply and was one of the most elaborate practical effects in the entire production. This reveal is particularly surprising given how convincingly feminine and horrifying the character appears on screen. Fact 11. Real newsreel footage of human violence is mixed into the opening credits. The shots of riots, violence, and chaos that play over the apocalyptic opening credits aren't all staged for the movie. Much of what you see is actual archival newsreel footage of real human violence and civil unrest spliced together with the fictional zombie footage shot specifically for the film. The disturbing part? It's almost impossible to differentiate between the real footage of human brutality and the fictional zombie attacks. This was an intentional choice, a wry, dark commentary on humanity's capacity for violence and chaos. The fact that real human atrocities blend seamlessly with fictional zombie horror makes the opening even more unsettling and thought-provoking than audiences realize. Fact 12. Zack Snyder cameos as a gunman. Director Zack Snyder makes a cameo appearance in his own film during the opening credit sequence. He plays one of the armed security guards or gunmen during the scene where zombies attack the U.S. Capitol building, It's a blink and you'll miss it appearance, but Snyder is right there in the chaos. This brief cameo was just one of many ways Snyder immersed himself completely in his directorial debut. The Capitol attack scene, filled with panic and violence, set the tone for the entire film and established that nowhere, not even the seat of American government, was safe from the zombie apocalypse. Fact 13. 3 original cast members appear on TV screens throughout the film. 3 actors from George Romero's original 1978 Dawn of the Dead make cameo appearances in the remake, but you only see them on the television screens the survivors are watching. Ken Foree, who played Peter in the original, appears as a televangelist who delivers the film's iconic tagline, "When there's no more room in hell, the dead will walk the earth." Scott Reiniger, who played Roger in the original, appears as a military general telling people to stay home. Tom Savini, the legendary special effects artist who played the biker called Blades in the original, appears as a sheriff explaining that you have to shoot zombies in the head. These weren't just nostalgic Easter eggs, they were respectful tributes that connected the remake to its source material. Fact 14. A commercial that was directed by Snyder appears on TV in the shower scene. During the shower scene early in the film, if you look closely at the TV playing in the background, you'll see a Subaru WRX commercial. This isn't product placement. Zack Snyder actually directed that exact commercial just 1 year before filming Dawn of the Dead in 2003. It was a clever inside reference that Snyder slipped into his feature debut, a callback to his work in the advertising world before breaking into feature films. Most viewers never noticed this detail, but it's a fun piece of trivia that shows Snyder's attention to detail and his willingness to reference his own pre-film career. Fact 15. Mall stores were secretly named after the original film's cast. If you pay close attention to the background of the mall scenes, you'll spot several store names that are tributes to the original 1978 film. Most notably, one store is called Galen Ross, named after the actress who played Francine in Romero's original Dawn of the Dead. There's also a sign for Woolie's Diner, which references Woolie, the racist SWAT team leader character from the 1978 version. These weren't random choices. They were deliberate Easter eggs planted by the filmmakers to honor the original while creating their own vision. The production design team filled the mall with these kinds of references, rewarding eagle-eyed fans who knew the source material. Fact 16. The end credits were filmed next to the Universal Studios gift shop. Those bleak found-footage style scenes that play during the end credits, showing the survivors' final fate on the island, weren't shot at the same time or location as the rest of the film. They were filmed much later at Universal Studios Hollywood, specifically on the backlot. According to Zack Snyder's DVD commentary, these scenes were shot just a few feet away from the Universal Studios gift shop. The crew filmed at Park Lake, an artificial lake on the studio's backlot, to create the island setting. These sequences were added after preview audiences objected to the original ending, which cut abruptly after the survivors sailed away. The studio wanted closure, even if that closure was horrifically dark. Fact 17. Sarah Polley's own agent was shocked she took the role. Sarah Polley, who was cast as the lead character Anna, was primarily known for serious dramatic roles in Canadian cinema. When she agreed to do Dawn of the Dead, her own agent was completely stunned. Polley stated that this horror remake was the last thing her agent would have expected her to be interested in. However, Polley was drawn to the role because she saw Anna as an unusual departure from stereotypical female characters in horror films. She loved that Anna was more than just someone screaming and running away. The character had resilience, strength, and agency in the face of absolute horror. Polley's performance grounded the film emotionally and proved that serious dramatic actors could elevate genre material. Fact 18. Snyder agreed to direct a sequel that never happened. After the film's commercial success, it grossed over $102 million worldwide on a $26 million budget. Universal Studios approached Zack Snyder about directing a sequel. Snyder announced that he had agreed to do it and there was genuine momentum behind the project. However, as of 2024, more than 20 years later, the sequel has never materialized. Snyder moved on to 300, Watchmen, Man of Steel, and his other projects, and the Dawn of the Dead sequel remained in development hell. The closest thing fans got was Snyder's 2021 Netflix film Army of the Dead, which featured similar themes and even reused the zombie baby concept, but wasn't officially connected to Dawn of the Dead. Fact 19. Snyder had to fight the studio to use the Richard Cheese cover. The lounge-style cover of Down with the Sickness that plays during the mall montage scene, performed by Richard Cheese, was something Zack Snyder had to fight for. In a 2023 interview, Snyder revealed that he lobbied hard for the Richard Cheese version to be included in the film. The studio originally declined his request, wanting to use the original heavy metal version by Disturbed instead. However, Snyder managed to convince them that the ironic lounge singer interpretation was perfect for showing the survivors' surreal attempt at normalcy in an apocalyptic nightmare. The studio relented, and the Richard Cheese version made it into the final cut, becoming one of the film's most memorable musical moments. Fact 20. George Romero called the remake a video game with no meaning. The original Dawn of the Dead director George Romero did eventually watch the 2004 remake after finishing his own film Land of the Dead in 2005. His response was complicated and somewhat critical. Romero stated that it was better than he expected, praising the first 15 to 20 minutes as terrific. However, he felt the film lost its reason for being after that strong opening. He called it more of a video game and said there was nothing going on underneath, no deeper meaning or social commentary like his original Possessed. Romero specifically criticized the running zombies, saying he wasn't terrified of things running at him, comparing it to Space Invaders. He even referenced this criticism in his next film, Diary of the Dead, where a character claims that dead things don't run. Despite Romero's mixed feelings, the remake has since been recognized as one of the best horror remakes ever made. And there you have it, 20 disturbing, bizarre, and shocking facts about Dawn of the Dead from 2004. From accidental onset injuries to death threats against the screenwriter, from casting real amputees to that controversial zombie baby, this remake pushed boundaries in ways both intentional and accidental. If you enjoyed these facts, hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into horror cinema. And here's where I need your help. What horror film should we cover next? Drop your suggestions in the comments below. Want to know the dark secrets behind the Texas Chainsaw Massacre? The disturbing production stories from The Exorcist? Or maybe lesser-known facts about modern horror like Hereditary or Midsommar? Let me know what horror films you want to see dissected on this channel. Thanks for watching, and remember, when there's no more room in hell, the dead will walk the earth.